I feel like there was a lot of holes in this case.
So good. I'm glad you said that, because this.
If your emotions were removed from it, I'm about to call on you in a second.
Satire on the beat.
Not a single person would have found those boys guilty. Go.
Okay, so I was gonna ask this question. So because it is up to the state the state to approve beyond a reasonable doubt, that means if it's one questionable thing, why is it that the jurors, before they even leave the courtroom, once the judge they do their closing remarks or whatever, why isn't the jury process done right there? Instead of going in a room and talking, why can't right then and there 12 people say, I think he's not guilty, I think he's guilty. I know they want them to review the things and whatever, but I'm about to call on you. I know they want them to review the evidence and all that stuff, but when they initially walk back in that room, if it's one person that has doubt, if you don't walk away at the end of that case knowing if you think somebody is guilty or not guilty, and this is why I say they shouldn't have to review. Because if I've fed you this case and I was able to tell you this is a fact, this happened then, now you need to believe me or you don't. So why then and there at the end of the trial, why can't you say whether or not you believe my case or not?
Well, I'm gonna say, remember when we watched Making a Murderer, and we were watching it, I think we both said it a couple times, like, I don't think he did it. I don't think, but then there's that doubt of could he have done it? But that means
in the court, but pause right there, because if you have doubt in your mind, the state didn't do their job. They didn't prove that beyond a reasonable doubt.
You're right.
It's a difference if you show me a tape. Okay, somebody went and robbed the store. You got this person's face all in the camera. They robbed the store. By the time you do your closing remarks, I'm going to say, oh, you guilty. I seen you. So by the time you do those closing remarks, now you don't have no physical evidence. You don't have anything at all. I mean, nothing that's really tying you. You don't have a weapon. You don't have no DNA connected to this. So by the time you do your closing remark, I should be able to tell you whether I believe it or not. I shouldn't have to be able to. Why do I go sit down with 11 other people
and talk about it?
Now y'all got me thinking maybe that was that's not that defeats the purpose.
It gives somebody, you know what, a lot of times
the opportunity to change
their mind. Because and I'm going to talk about something that's a little it's fiction, but it kind of, I guess, goes to what you were saying, where it gives you the time to change your mind or whatever. I think in certain cases, the decision has to be unanimous when you come to the verdict for certain things. I can't remember the entire extent of it, but I think there's certain cases where the jury has to be unanimous, and then there's certain cases where if there's at least one person that has reasonable doubt, then they
but that's how it's supposed
it becomes
to be.
A hung jury or something like that, right? There's an episode of Charmed where Phoebe serves on a trial for a murder, and the guy that is being found guilty, he uses the defense that he had a premonition and all of this stuff, so he knows who really killed it, but he's the person that is on trial or whatever. Phoebe spends pretty much the entire episode trying to convince these people to vote not guilty because he didn't do it. And it wasn't that she could have, I don't know, it was something about it where she didn't just stand up and say, well, I don't believe it, so now it's a hung jury. It was they were not allowed to leave there until it was unanimous, until every single person
that's what I'm saying.
Came to.
So that's what I'm saying, because now you get to cases where you got juries on sitting there for days debating. So if it takes you 5 days to come to a decision, and sometimes they have a hung jury because they've been there for 5 days and they can't make up their mind, Does
you
that
got that
not
one person
mean
that's like, nope, I'm not.
The state did not do their job.
Yeah,
so the whole jury process, now that I think about it, it's all stupid. Mm-hmm. Because by the time you do them closing arguments, you should be able to say whether or not I prove my case. So
I think I agree with you. I don't think the jury process is stupid. I think that we should still have juries. I think
not
maybe
I'm saying the current, the whole,
maybe agreeing that them leaving and deliberating should be maybe if it was something like, you know, when they walk out of there or whatever, that person who has doubt, because you know there's always a bailiff there, there's always, you know, a court officer there. Maybe that one person says to the court officer,
and it should be done. It shouldn't be no deliberation.
And then that court
after
officer
that.
goes to the judge and let them know we got somebody on the jury that just
and that
did
should
not
be
go
it.
with it.
And that should
then,
be it.
Then they call them back in and let them know.
That's nothing different. But that's the same thing as if why they got to leave the room. It's the same thing as if they all sat there, because before they get started, you got to know where everybody at. It's just like any other type of decision or discussion. Everybody gonna say whether or not they think is guilty, the person's guilty or not guilty right off the bat.
Oh yeah, maybe
and
they do that
go from there.
After it's done, after they do their closing arguments, the judge turns to them and say, you know, juror number one, guilty or not.
The verdict should be able to. The verdict should be able to be given right there. Because, like I said, if the state proved their case beyond a reasonable doubt,
which is what it's supposed to be,
by the time you done it and you say, "Look, today I told you that XYZ happened, and for this reason, this person is a monster. You need to convict them guilty."
And if you sit there, me as juror number one, I should be able to be like,
"Yep, you guilty." Like,
I 100%
it shouldn't be no
everything.
question about it. And if not, if you go through these 12 people and one of them people say that they got doubt, that still means that the state did not prove their case.
Yep. You're right.
Because I gave this case to 12 different strangers that had nothing to do with this, didn't know nothing about it, but even one of them didn't go with a guilty verdict, that means I didn't prove my case.
I think they do it. What if somebody is being charged with multiple accounts? Do you think they should still do it that same way? Like, you know, with Corey, Corey had first degree and second degree charges against him.
Yeah,
for
I think it should be done the same way.
And the second degree, it was all not guilty, not guilty, not guilty. And there was a sense of relief, like, oh, not guilty. And then they got to the first degree and it was like guilty, and it was like, wait, what? Hold on. So, I mean, obviously, first degree comes with a heavier sentence.
Okay, this is another thing about the court system. If I murder somebody, how is me murder one worse than murder four? I killed somebody.
It's the intent behind it.
I don't think that should matter if I killed somebody. Because then when you say I accidentally killed somebody, that's when it becomes manslaughter or unintentional manslaughter or whatever the case is. Or I don't know.
But that's what it is. It's the
nature of the crime.
It's the nature of it. It's the intent, and it's how much time comes with that crime.
I mean, I know that the time is definitely tied to it, but
so murder in the first is you intentionally sought this person out, or you intentionally, did this, and then second is probably, it was an altercation that happened, and then you know
so
what I mean?
That should automatically go from murder to manslaughter. Ain't that what manslaughter is?
What is it? We should probably look it up.
But there's lawyers. I'm just kidding. There we go.
Lawyers, comment below.
3 episodes in now. Okay, but yeah, so I think as far as the jury goes and the court system goes and stuff like that, it has to be refined in a way where I 100% agree that if I accidentally got in a fight with somebody and I felt like I had to defend myself, that self-defense murder should go under a different thing, as if I hate my wife and I want to murder her or whatever the case may be. I 100% agree with that. But as far as this jury process goes, that also needs to be modified. Yeah. Like I said, by the time you give them closing remarks, if you argued well, then there is nothing else that they can say.
Antron's attorney was doing an amazing job. I was watching like, that's right. And yet, you know what I mean?
Because he knew it was all bull.
Yeah, they all knew it was all bull, And I think them playing those tapes. Okay, let's move on. We're going to move past the jury thing. I don't think there's much to talk about with what happened in episode 4. Do you have a lot to talk about with that, when they got home and everything? When the 4 boys got home? Any thoughts on that?
I mean, I just talk about how it's hard to get back into the real world.
We could probably talk about that. Let's move on to 4, which was solely based on Corey. I kind of like the fact that they dedicated an entire episode just to him. Like there was the four boys had an episode together. But episode 4 was solely dedicated to Corey. And I like that because Corey went through something different than those 4 boys. We don't really get to see what happened with them while they were in, because obviously they went from juvie to prison.
Right, he went right to prison.
But he went right to prison, and his situation was different because he went from going down to the precinct just to, be there for his friend, to getting caught up in this, getting found guilty. Because he was the only 16-year-old at the time, he ended up getting sent straight to an adult prison. And his situation was just so different. So I'm going to tell y'all 11 minutes into that episode, and I was bawling my eyes out.
That whole show had me crying.
I bawled my eyes out. I just... So let's talk about the prison system. Because that's pretty much... Corey spent a lot of time in there, and it was a lot going on. Let's talk about the prison system. You were saying, you've said it is that you said this.
Yeah, I said it. That
you said this in another episode, and you said it earlier in this one about people getting into a profession,
and that they don't care
and not caring about your job. I'm not saying that all corrections officers are the way that some of these correction officers were, but
let me tell you. Let me say.
Go ahead.
Just how black people are depicted to the world, this is how correctional officers and police officers are depicted to us. So although we are given a bad name, like the police are like the bad guys to us. The CEOs are like the bad guys to us. So I mean, I don't know. I just wanted to point that out for people.
That's what I'm saying. So we're not saying they're all bad.
Right, but this is how, just like not all black people bad.
You got some bad eggs in the basket.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Not, in the all black people
all bad
ain't good.
apples,
You better
some rotten
believe
apples,
that. But this is just growing up, like, because things that we see in the environment that we grew up in, and that's not even the truth for all black people, because not all black people have the same experience. But from our environment, let me say, because that's going to touch on why you feel the way you feel. We scared of the police, in a sense, like. That's just what it is, but go carry on.
The cop come near me, I ain't do nothing wrong, and I'm still sweating. Like, yo, what? Said underarms all wet. Like, yo, what happened?
What I did.
Listen,
don't shoot me, please. Don't shoot me.
I don't even do drugs, but they be like training the canine dogs at my job, and I be trying to avoid them. I ain't got nothing on me.
Vicious.
I'm like, I ain't got nothing on me. I don't do no type of drugs. I'm not carrying nothing. I'm not dealing nothing. But listen, I be avoiding them because I'm like, I just know it's gonna be my luck. They gonna smell something on me, then I'm gonna get frisked. Listen, I'm innocent, and yet I still freak out.
All right, anyways, carry on.
Anyways, back to the prison system and Corey's time and everything. I feel like I don't even know if these officers are still working in the prison system.
They shouldn't be.
But that's going to lead us to my thing. I feel like they should have to pay for what they did to that boy. You got this 16-year-old boy coming in here, and because of whatever bias you have or whatever the case is, you allow for people to beat this boy to almost death more than once.
That, first of all, let me talk about when he got to. No, let me talk about when he got to where was it, Attica?
I think it was in Attica.
And that black CEO took him and he got beat up, and he gonna tell him we don't have no stars here or something like that.
Where he was? No, he was in some place called Weeby or Weeby something.
Wherever he was, and that, like, I don't know what type of vendetta or whatever he had, but that I mean, I guess this is just like a stereotype that I say that I kind of grew up having. Like, a lot of black cops, they feel like or COs in this case, because they kind of hand in hand. But a lot of black cops or correction officers feel like they gotta, like, prove themselves in a sense. Okay. I mean, this is just like something that I feel like was depicted from me growing up. You see, or you even watching movies and stuff like that. You have these black cops that they just gotta fit in. Or did you watch the Soul Train show that came on?
No.
That's something good to watch too. But talked about how cops are. So one of the lead characters is a detective. He's black, and a cop gets shot. So they got this boy down at the some boy went down and fake snitched on himself, whatever. He gave a confession, and the black officer is trying to tell the white cops, like, look, he didn't do it. Like, it wasn't him. Oh, just take one for the team. Take one for the team. So he never stood up for this boy.
Yeah, because you got to feel like you got to
because
stand there.
You feel like you got to measure up to what these other these corrupt cops are doing.
There's a video that one of our local comedians put on. I think it's on his Instagram or something. But he's outside washing his car, and there's a woman walking down the street with her dog, and she said something to him. It's a white woman. She says something to him, and then she goes, "Officer," and then you see like this cop who is like hiding behind the bushes or whatever, and he turns to him and he's like, "Yo, why are you following me?" And the cop is white, and he's like, "I'm not following you, I'm following her." And he's like, "Ma'am, how can I help you?" and everything. And she's like, "This man," and just says something about him. And then he goes, "Hey, you, give him a ticket." And then you see like this guy dressed in like a tree outfit, kind of like turn around or whatever, and it's a black cop. And he was like, "Yo, what, you watching me?" He was like, "Yeah, he's watching her. I gotta follow you. Sorry, brother. Like, that's the job." Like,
so I guess I'm not the only one that
and was like, you can't wash your car out here in public. Like, just something stupid like that. But it was like, he was like, "Sorry, brother. Like, I gotta, because this black cop watching this black guy while the white cop watched the white woman or whatever." But it's just, so I get what you're saying with that, as far as feeling like you gotta fit in. And there was a scene in that we didn't touch on. There was a scene in the first or second episode when who was it? I think it was Ray's dad left. No. Somebody's dad left to go to work.
That was Ray.
Yeah, Ray's dad left. And the black cop had stopped the two white detectives and was basically like, he don't have a parent here.
Oh, yes.
He doesn't have a parent here. His grandmother is here and she doesn't speak Spanish. And they was like, "Oh, is it snowing? Is it Christmas right now?" Because now they knew that they could question him and push him because he didn't have anybody there to stand up for him.
But the thing is that they had that Hispanic cop initially. So this is how they played it. They had the Hispanic cop.
They did good cop, bad cop.
No. What it was is they had the Hispanic cop to be the translator. So he would ask Ray a question and then he would say it in Spanish for his grandmother, and she looking. And then after he got to about the third question, and I was like, "Hold up." He was like, "Oh, we're gonna ask you to step out." So basically they excused her, and then that's when he turned like it was whatever. It's no more nice guy. Like, they basically tortured that boy and made him give that confession. But so that was dirty too.
Yeah. I really appreciate the one cop that was there for Corey while he was in prison.
Yes, Roberts.
That might be a fictional name. They might not have used his actual name.
But this was him, Roberts, in the movie.
Because this is based on, their lives. I'm pretty sure Corey said, "I had one cop that was really like, So to the cop that was there for Corey, I'm about to cry. I'm about to cry. Like, that whole thing,
that's how people should be.
That's how people should be. You know what I mean?
In prison, like
when he walked in there and he saw Corey with all of those white men who he knew was Nazis, Confederate, KKK, whatever they are. He knew, and he asked Corey, "You good?" And Corey trying to stand up, trying not to be a snitch. "I'm good." And then when he ran into, I'm about to take you to the infirmary. Like, why? Like, I'm pretty sure he wanted to say, "Why didn't you say anything?" Like, he probably would have took Corey out of there. But because that first CO told Corey to, ask to go to, solitary if you run into a situation like this again. That's why he went there. But that one cop that was like there for him. Like,
so I think one thing that I'm gonna ask you: do you think that I think that Roberts thought that Corey was innocent. And the reason why I say that is because he had asked him at one point, I believe, like, "Why are you doing this for me?" And he was like, "Because if something like this happened to my kid, I would want to make sure somebody was doing this for him." Yeah, because he was like, I have a child at home. Yeah, but I got a boy at home.
If my child ever ended up in a situation like this, I would want somebody to treat him like he was human.
Do you think that it... Okay, I'm assuming that Roberts thought he was innocent in this situation. do you think that if he thought that he was guilty, he would have still helped him in the same way? Or do you think that is something that takes a toll on how CEOs or officers in general treat?
I think it's on whether or not you get in the business, like he said, treat somebody like they're human. You know what I mean? Like he looked at Corey and he knew this is a child. This is somebody's child. This is not one of these grown men in here that is like, like Corey probably kept to himself all the time. And you stand back and you watch how all of it, that's what you do as a CEO. You stand in there and you're watching these inmates during lunch, during cleanup, during the time that they're watching TV, like whatever it is. And he probably did. He probably sat back and he watched Corey, and Corey probably kept to himself. You know what I mean? Like, not really interacting with anybody. He's not out there trying to like get in fights. He's not joining the different gangs.
But he also know that he was a target because of the nature of the case.
But so I think it was whether or not he thought he was guilty. I don't know. It could have been something that he thought he was innocent, or it could have been something where maybe he had his doubts on it, or whatever it is. But I think for him, it was more of treating, like he said, treating Corey like he was human, like a human, not like an animal. And I think and in my mindset, I feel like he probably treats them all like that, except for, the ones that
like
really need to be.
Like,
you know what I mean? And he looked at, I think for me, people like that get into that business because of what prison was meant to be, which is a rehabilitation program. Right. You know what I mean? So as opposed to just throwing Corey around or calling them names and an animal or whatever the case is, like this is a child who needs to learn from his mistakes. So I'm gonna teach him what he needs to learn. So I feel like that's kind of where his mindset was. You get obviously that first CEO who was just greedy. He was in it to get whatever he wanted.
Let me know if it's something I could do.
What can you do for me? Mm-hmm. And when Corey didn't have it, because Corey, he's a child. Mm-hmm. This boy ain't never served a day in prison. Like, he ain't never been in any trouble.
It was crazy. And when he sat down with his mom on that first visit, he's like, "Mom, can you please make sure you keep the money on the commissary or whatever?" And she's like, "I don't really got it." And he's like, "Please, just please." Yeah. Like,
but you can't expect that this boy immediately knows what you want to do.
But then that's people like that shouldn't be in that type of work. But he preyed on that boy because he knew what it was from the beginning. Like,
preyed on him. And then let those men beat him up, and then so now next time let me know what you could do for me. Mm-hmm. And next time ask for don't go to the infirmary because they'll kill you next time. Mm-hmm. Next time make sure you go to solitary. And
that right there, like that whole solitary confinement junk is crazy.
So, I know I like to be alone, but geez.
I seen it somewhere on the internet that somebody compared this to, I can't think of the boy's name, but the other kid that got locked up in New York. Mm-hmm. It was a few years ago.
Oh yeah, the young boy who
he ended up committing suicide. Yeah. Mm-hmm. You gotta watch that. That's on Netflix too. Mm-hmm. It's like a 7-part little docuseries thing, but that really broke my heart.
Yeah, I know about that case. He
was he at Rikers? He was at Rikers. Yeah. Yep. I think that's where they initially sent Corey too, is to Rikers.
Corey spent time in Attica, Rikers, Auburn.
First of all, Rikers shouldn't even be open at this point. But it's just sad, and it's just show you how history repeats itself, and how I'm pretty sure it happened way more often than what we think. They take and stick you in a room with a toilet and a bed and a little bitty window that you can't even see out of.
Probably no heat because Corey was in there baking.
Yes, until they fix that AC. But
I said no heat, no air.
I know what you
no heat too when it gets cold.
But that right there, just sitting looking at walls like
by
it's
yourself
not healthy
all day. You know what I mean?
It's not.
And then they got to the point where Robert started bringing him entertainment, sneaking him entertainment so that he,
keep his mind off of it.
It's just, that whole thing just broke my heart just to see him go through that. Like, and the thing that bothers me, because we got to wrap this up. This is getting kind of long. I might edit this into a 2-part
I was going to say. So let's just talk and you can edit it into 2.
But one of the things that I want to say is, and I posted a tweet about this, how many examples do we need
for something to change?
For us to know that we need to fix our justice system? Like, how many examples? It's not just the stuff that is televised, and it is not just stuff that is written, books are written about, but you got this story that happened, I want to say about 5 years ago, maybe less than, of those 3 young men, or not even young men, they're adults who spent like 20-something years behind bars for a crime that they didn't commit. until it turned out that they didn't commit it, and then they got released. And it was like they came home, and all of I watched this at the news footage, and they get out, and all of their family is there to welcome them home. But one guy, his mom passed away before he got freed. She didn't even get to see her boy walk free. And he had been in there since he was like a teenager.
You know what? I seen
a
few years ago, it was a documentary about, it was 6 people. I want to say it was 5 men and a woman that got accused of a murder. This is, again, in New York City, the great New York City, where these people, 6 people had served time in jail for a murder that none of them was even near the scene of the crime. So this was on Dateline or whatever. So this went national, obviously, because it was on Dateline or whatever the case was. So you got plenty of examples. You can't say that you don't see it. This is the second time that they made a docuseries about this.
You know what I mean? Like, we've got our situation, our families. I remember a few years ago, and I'm not going to say names, but I remember one of our uncles was staying with one of our aunts. And I remember the cops showing up at her house to arrest him because some woman had been, I believe, raped downtown. And I don't know if they used like a photo ID because he, has had, he does have a record or something. Like, you do the photo lineup, and he got picked out or whatever.
I remember that.
And our aunt was like, no, he's been here. Like, what are you talking about? But of course, what they believe. They believe that it's family, so we're protecting family, whatever the case is. And then, he almost got, I don't believe he got sent away, but he almost got sent away for something that he didn't do before it came out that he wasn't the one. You know what I mean? You got cases like that. It's been in our history, And so I don't understand how we have so many men and women sitting behind bars that are innocent of the crime that they were convicted for, and yet we still have not come up with the resolution on how to resolve this. I don't understand how we still have people who
is going to change it, and it's sad to say it, but it's going to take for 5 white men to get accused of raping and attempting to murder a white woman. It don't got to be a black woman. It's going to take something like that
I'm gonna have to,
for them to do it. And I'm not saying like, y'all need to do this, but I'm saying it's just you're saying a history pattern.
I'm gonna have to slightly disagree with that, because I mentioned that book earlier by John Grisham, The Innocent Man. That is about 2 white men who were basically framed. It was like all of the evidence pieced together to make them look like the innocent, the guilty ones, based off of somebody pointing a finger. But 2 white men, and when you read the book, it just really broke my heart, because they both were sentenced to death. They were on death row, and they were, I believe, months away from being executed before their case crossed the desk of a judge, and like his
what, I am going to take that back,
like
because
that.
It's been a couple movies. It was another movie we watched where the lady brother got accused, and she's the one that created the Innocent Project.
That you got Making a Murderer, which that was so
that takes us back to what it's going to take the justice system.
We have to figure out a way to do better. Like I said, the jury, we got to do better when you're sitting on that jury stand, to remove your emotions or remove that thought of somebody's got to pay for it out of your mind. And
when y'all copyright they need to put that, do what I said. If you, by the time they do them closing arguments, if you can't give it a guilty verdict, then them 12 people can't be unanimous on the guilty verdict. You didn't do your job. I'm sorry.
It just blows my mind. Like, there's way too many cases like this.
You know what? And I also think, talking about going back to a personal case, when my brother was on trial, the judge kicked the jury out to tell somebody
he should not have been allowed to
confessing that he better say that he seen my brother in the courtroom. The boy said no. At that point, he should have been dismissed. That's law. Anyways, you got people on the jury who, one boy said he went to school with the boy who we know did this. He went to school with him, and he was scared of him. He was involved in the case. Why is he on the jury?
Oh, he was on the jury?
He was on the jury. He said that in the selection process that he knew, I don't want to give that boy no shine.
We're not going to say no names.
But he knew him, and he was scared of him or something to that effect. But I'm starting to guess how corrupt this, if that jury was corrupted by that judge. Because how you going to send them out to threaten somebody.
And that's the thing. Like,
when those people are away,
why are we
going
not
on?
taking legal action against the people who are doing stuff like this? Like, why are these people still allowed to practice law? You know what I mean?
Money.
Like, we need to be weeding those people out. That just doesn't make any sense to me. We need to be weeding those people out. I feel like I was gonna say something else,
but the sense of the justice system being a fair process,
and it's not. It's supposed to be due process, and you're innocent until proven guilty. But when you got the media splashing your name all over the pages and saying this is who the DA or the police believe is the person, and that immediately goes to people's mind without even knowing anything. That also is
going to go to your background and what your mindset is.
Oh, they're guilty. Exactly. They're guilty. And I was gonna say the other thing is that mindset when you're on the jury, or when you work as a police officer or as a detective, or you work in a DA's office. The other mindset that we got to get rid of is just because it is a high profile case, or just because you got people breathing down your back and down your neck, or whatever the saying is, does not mean that you need to have the mindset of somebody has to pay for it. Yes, I agree. Somebody has to pay for it, but it needs to be the right person. Yeah. Because while y'all had Corey, Antron, Raymond, Kevin, and Yusuf locked up for that crime, y'all had another person out there committing other crimes very similar to the one that y'all had them locked up for, getting away with it.
I was going to say, but he was arrested in August. From April to August, y'all had plenty of time, because that trial, I'm pretty sure, didn't start that quick. So y'all had time to try to tie it together, but what it was is, let's ignore the fact that this is a similar case to this, because at this point, it's all about reputation. And this lady was saying, at this point, we already got it out there. We can't lose. And this what the blonde lady kept stressing. It's already out. Like, we need to get this win.
Yep.
It's already out there. There's nothing we could do. Yep. Like, they got that DNA out that sock and they matched none of them boys. That right there.
Oh, well, they don't know we got the DNA from the sock. And then they were going to try to keep it.
And then she said, we missed somebody. That was the fifth person. What? And that's what they said when the dude came out and said that he did it.
Now you're going to try to tie him to these five boys after you already tied the five boys together.
Yep.
Now you're going to make it seem like all six of them know each other.
The boy sat there and said that he did it. Like,
he did it alone. He didn't know them.
But you know what was crazy? And I don't know how true this actually was, but how Corey and the dude ended up fighting over the TV. You realize that was the person, the dude he fought over the TV.
Well, see, I read something online, because I was, me, after I watch it, I got to go do a little bit of research. I read something, and it said that, so they did meet before he confessed. That I think his last name is Reyes. We don't go for Reyes. That Reyes had said when he saw Corey, he wanted to tell him it was me, it wasn't you. Like, but he kept his mouth shut. And then I think, did he get released after that, and then get caught again after he stabbed that woman in the eye, and then he ended up with life? I think that's how he ended up at the prison with Corey, was when he got life after stabbing that woman in the eye. At the second time he ran into Corey, and then that's when it, and then now he's serving life. He not getting out. Might as well tell the truth now. They ain't find me then. But then,
that's that whole go to jail, find yourself. Because he was like, somebody been paying, nobody should have to pay for my sins. Crime. Like, I have to pay for it. I did it. Like,
and then you had that one, who was she, like a detective or somebody, the higher up, that was arguing with the blonde, where she basically said, like, if y'all had questioned him about that rape, he would have admitted to it.
Yeah, because she said they asked him about XYZ, and he didn't deny. She said not even a little bit.
When he got arrested in August, and they questioned him about all of these other rapes.
Yep.
And attempted murders, he admitted to it. If y'all had questioned him about the one about Trisha, he would have admitted to it.
And none of this would have even happened.
None of it would have happened. But they were so focused on it had to be these five boys, and they made the case, and they made a name for himself. And homegirl out here writing crime novels now. And she done made a big name for herself.
She helped
bring down the Central Park 5. Like,
Not no more. I heard that her publisher dropped her. She getting dragged.
She's blaming Ava DuVernay about it, and all of this.
You should blame her for still putting you out there.
She still to this day holds true to the fact that she 100% believed that the exonerated 5 had something to do with it.
Yeah, I know.
She still is holding true to that.
That's what they do. They get it in their mind.
I'm gonna let you know right now She don't believe it. That's pride. Her pride won't let her come forward and say, you know what, I made a mistake. That's what she should do.
See,
if
but
she
from
wasn't
the beginning,
prideful,
she
would come
knew
forward and say, I made a
that
mistake.
she knew that it was wrong from the get go. She never believed that them boys
But regardless
did that.
of whether
she tied it together.
regardless of whether or not, if she wanted to save face and wanted to save her career or try to even get people to move forward with trying to forgive her, I'm not gonna say anybody's gonna forgive her, but move forward to trying to earn people's forgiveness, then she would have came out with a statement that said, when I was younger, or when back in the day, I was more determined.
Not no young.
I know she wasn't young, but I'm just saying. But she had that same said, like, you know, years ago, I had a mission and I wanted to make a name for myself. And
she would have still got dragged.
That, you know what I mean? Like,
she would have still got dragged. She would have still got dragged.
Sometimes
she would have still got dragged. You better believe that. She would have still got dragged.
Sometimes when people, you know, apologize and admit their mistakes and stuff, sometimes,
it wasn't no getting out of this.
Years
you know
later,
why?
I'm not saying right now, but I'm saying maybe years later.
Something like this is unforgivable.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you have to forgive. That's the godly thing to do is forgive. But this is something that you just can't get over or you can't forget about because you took away all these years from all these
What was it?
boys.
I think it said like 7 to 13 years that those boys served or something like that.
And you know how much they settled for $41 million between 5 people? Y'all owe them more than that.
I heard that there was another lawsuit.
Y'all owe them way more than that.
I heard that there was another lawsuit. And I believe there was one mayor, I can't remember which mayor it was that I read, did not want to settle with them. He didn't want to pay them a dime. And then when we got another mayor in, that mayor was like, we're going to pay them.
Because that's going to make them look good at the end of the day. It's all a game.
Let's give them their money. But yeah, it just makes me sad. Like, I feel like it is 2019. The year's coming to a close soon. Like, it's going by fast. It's about to be 2020. And I just feel like after all of these years, we have to do better. There should be no reason why our justice system is still in the shape that it's in. There should be no, like, at this point, communities like the Innocence Project would never have been funded if we didn't have
a corrupt justice system.
All of these people who are behind bars.
So I wonder what made America the land of the free.
I'm gonna tell you what made America the land of the free. What made America the land of the free was when America, back in the day, fought with Britain and freed themselves from Britain's control. That is what made America the land of the free, because it became the land of the free when they no longer had to become.
How did America get this face of opportunity? Is what I'm saying. Like, because I'm taking this humanities class, and this is something that I just recently learned about. Like, the Statue of Liberty was donated from France. Some sculptor in France thought of this great thing to symbolize the freedom that was given in the North, or like, so that's why it was put in New York City or whatever. So basically, I learned about the history of the Statue of Liberty. Basically, like I said, it symbolizes how America's so great. We got so much freedom. People could come over. It's like such a democratic land.
Because it became, so I believe it became after we got our freedom from, or after they got their freedom from Great Britain. You know what I mean? It became the place where you're no longer under the control of a king, and we get to make our own decisions now, and we don't have to.
I'm gonna get from under the control of somebody and become the controller of somebody, and then still say that's a land of the free.
But it was the land of the free from the people who came from that control. Not the people that they took control of, but they got their freedom.
So do you get my point?
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. But they got their release and their freedom.
I'm wondering
from Great Britain,
what these foreign countries seen in America that made them say, "Hey, I want to go there." Like, I always wonder that. Like, there's so many countries where people could get a free education, but they come to America for education. Like, you have a lot of foreign people come over to study for
now, or like you talking about
just in general. I'm saying it doesn't matter. Like, just in general, you have people coming over here to learn how to be doctors, and they learn medicine and stuff over here. And if you think about it, they probably use more natural and holistic things.
I think our technology is more advanced. than what it is in like a lot of foreign countries.
See, I never understood that, why you would come here and Sally made thousands and thousands of dollars when you could get a free education at home.
I think it's like our technology. I think we're more advanced in like a lot of things. We're not more advanced in. There are some countries I believe that are more advanced than us, but I think we do have a. I was gonna say, I think we do have a step up on a lot of people. But you know, it's the same thing with when there's like certain surgeries that are like banned in the U.S. because they've done their research and they realize that it's not safe. But you know, somebody still wants it,
medicine,
so we go over, you know, somewhere else to get it.
We still give people prescription medicine that you gonna take it for nausea. You about to end up with diarrhea and skipped heartbeats and extra nausea, loose bowels, like, but this is legal. You know what I'm saying?
No, I hate seeing those commercials where it's like, take this,
you can't sleep, this, and take this, but you're gonna be woke. You're gonna feel woke, but can't open your eyes. Like, what the heck?
And then there's all the side effects of what possibly can happen.
I was taught that's called the devil riding you. You feel like you can't move, but your eyes, you know you woke. That's bad. Don't bring that on me.
But no, I get what you're saying.
I just always wondered that, like, for people who come from overseas, I know that some living conditions obviously are worse than what we have here. So people come for a better life, and I mean, I just wonder how many people come over here and face the harsh reality that
I think once upon a time this was the place where, you know, you did get more opportunity if you came over, especially if you were white.
But I'm talking about like people who come from China or come from India or come from Africa or they come from Jamaica. Like, I think we still do offer more opportunities than they could get, you know, in other places. I think it was because, you know, we got certain people making it more difficult, but I think it was at one point a little easier maybe to get into America. It's not so much now. I just think that it just sucks to be a country that it's supposed to be like the land of freedom. It's so democratic. Like, people come here to live their dreams, and, you know, you can do what you want here, basically. Yeah. But now you got somebody in the office who's trying to ban immigrants from coming here. Everybody immigrants.
Everybody an immigrant. Unless you are 100% Native American. I am 1%. Unless you are 100% Native American, you are an immigrant.
And that's what's supposed to make America great, is the diversity and that everybody has.
But you got people who want to stop it.
Cultures.
You got people who feel like this is their land, their country, and why is any outsiders coming in? But at the same time, you were an outsider once upon a time.
See, but my thing is, that's why you live in the community that you live into. If I'm a racist white man, I'm not about to move into the hood. Like, you live in a community where you secluded in the suburbs where it's nice and quiet and you don't have to deal with the hoodlums. That's why communities were built. That's why y'all built highways to stay out of the city. So what we doing over here don't got nothing to do with you over here.
Yeah.
Because just like you pay tax dollars, we pay tax dollars. I mean, some of us don't make no difference. I pay my taxes,
but I'm just saying, there's some people out there who ain't paying their taxes. But you need to get it together.
I mean,
I don't know.
That's what it is.
So,
but this movie was very saddening. It was very
enlightening.
I was gonna say you learn a lot.
I didn't know anything about these 5 men. I'm gonna let y'all know. I say it every time. I live under a rock.
This happened before I was born.
I was born, but you know, I was like 4.
4. It was 2.
You just
I aged you. I mean, I decreased your age.
You decreased my age again,
Didi. Oh, man.
I was 2.
But you were young.
So it wasn't something that I was familiar with. But I definitely, even nowadays, stuff happen and I don't know about it because I have bad anxiety, so I don't like to watch the news. Because whether or not I know what's going on, it spikes my anxiety, and I'm having panic attacks about people that I don't know because I'm like, oh, but the world we live in is going to hell,
but that's what it is.
It's just, so I can't, my health can't take it. So I don't watch the news. I find out from other people's stuff that's going on.
I'd like to say that I'm fairly enlightened. I do my research. I look into stuff.
So it was very it was very good for me to know this, and I've told everybody that I know that they need to watch this, whether you're white, black, yellow, orange, whatever. I think that you need to sit down and watch this, because I feel like the more that we watch stuff like this and the more that we learn of it, then maybe one day we will get to the point where we
it's gonna all be about getting the right people in the right positions, and that's being black, white, orange, purple, yellow. You gotta have the right intentions when you getting into these work fields, and when you got people, literally got people lives in your hands.
And even if you just sit, like I said, even if you just sit on a jury, because I feel like you're always gonna get to a point where you're going to have somebody who is going to get in that position, whether or not how much change you try to do, whether or not how much you try to weed out the bad seeds and stuff. You're always going to get somebody in there who either is trying to get a step up for this big case, or you're trying to get somebody who
for a promotion they want to be a judge from a DA.
You know what I mean? You're always going to get somebody. So I feel like it's a little difficult right now for us to try to fix our police system, fix the detective, fix the lawyers, fix the, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't think it's difficult. What I think it is that people don't. It's gonna be that people got to start being held accountable. Yeah. Once again, you got to start holding these police officers accountable.
You do if that
first cop, because it's nobody say all people get shot by cops. White people get shot by cops. Black people get shot. Asian, Hispanic, whatever. Until you start holding these cops accountable,
whether it's a white cop or a black cop,
exactly, or Hispanic, purple, orange, whatever. When that first person got shot by a cop, and it was I was scared because I thought they had something. It should have been consequences taken into action, because then that causes a trickle down effect for you not to want that to happen to you. Yeah. You can't suspend them and then still pay them. That's not a punishment. That's like me sending my kids to the room with the TV. Like, that's not a punishment.
Yeah. And I feel like we definitely do need to work on our justice system, but I definitely feel like us as the people who are not serving in any form of law, when we sit down and we are chosen to serve on a jury, I know for a fact that you can excuse yourself if you feel like you are going to be biased on either side of it. If you feel like you can't come into this with a clear head, a clear heart, you can excuse yourself. If you feel like you sat in that jury selection and they asked you these questions and you favor the DA more than you favor the prosecution. You favor the prosecution more than you favor the defense. And they still choose you to be on that jury, you can excuse yourself and say, I'm sorry. No, because regardless of what you tell me, I'm going to go towards the prosecution. But it's not fair. You need to be a person.
That's also up to the people that's paying attention to the process. Like, why can't the judge at that point say, hold on, excuse me, the judge at that point say, well, you seem to be a little bit biased towards the prosecution, so I'm going to have to excuse you.
It should be. It should be that way, where the judge would say, nope, I'm not going to agree with this selection.
Once we get better with consequences, and that's from the top to the bottom, nothing's going to change. Just like, if you drive without a seatbelt, you're going to get a ticket. So what you do when you get in the car,
drive without a license, what's going to happen when you drive without a license,
So everything needs a consequence, or bad actions need
If you're not brushing your teeth or going to the dentist, what's going to happen?
Teeth going to be nasty.
It's always something that, there's a consequence for every action and stuff like that.
For every action, there's a reaction.
There you go. That was the saying. Reaction, action.
There you go.
So, I think, you got anything else you want to say?
We got to do better.
All right. Yep. We got to do better, people.
For all our people. That's the only way the world's going to get better.
I feel like that's how, exactly. Whatever color. We're not sitting here just going, black people, black people, black people.
But we black, and we can relate to black people more. That's why we say black like that.
But I just, as people in general, because we were raised to always treat everybody equal, regardless of how y'all feel.
I like people until they piss me off. There you go.
That's how we were raised.
I got cousins
point blank and period. That's how we were raised. You treat everybody the same. You go into it with an open mind and like everybody. Don't dislike anybody until
they give you a reason not to.
And I feel like, so for me, I don't want anybody to ever sit up here and be like, oh, they always talking about black people versus white people. I don't think
mean,
that's
it's the
where we
reality
do it.
of it.
But when I talk about this, when I say we got to do better, we have to do better in general. Like, this world is going to continue to go, especially this country, is going to continue to go downhill. And we're still going to have all of this racial, negativity going back and forth and all of this fight. If we don't do better, we have to do better. We've got to stop convicting innocent men and women, whether you're white or black, to go to prison for however many years without having all of the
facts. And there's a lot of petty crime. It's all a money thing, though, because there's a lot of petty crimes that people get arrested for. That's just stupid. You wasting our tax dollars. You wasting up a space for somebody that's out here serial killing, that deserves to be in jail, that's molesting little kids, that you now, you can't have an abortion with my child after I just raped you. About to piss me off.
So we got to do better. That is the message that we're going to leave y'all with after this. We have to do better. And with that being said, I think we are done.
We got to drop labels. Nothing going to change till you drop labels. Anyways, with that being said, we are going to close this 2-part show because it's going to be 2 parts.
It's long.
Saying to subscribe to the page, make sure you like the video, and leave us some comments so we can have some stuff to talk about. I guess that's it.
That's it. We about to go. Peace.